How's it? Okay, we are live now, Thursday, March 16th, the night of Thursday, March 16th, for March 17th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday games. Try to come at you a little bit earlier, and I think the connection was a little off, but I think we're back here now. Hopefully, our will go ahead and talk about all the games that you guys want to talk about. And I hope you guys are doing well, and give you some time to kind of get in here and talk about all the games that you want to talk about. And let's see here. But yeah, go ahead and start tossing the games that you want to discuss. And we'll go ahead and start talking about Friday's ball games on March the 17th. And we're coming at you on Thursday, March the 16th tonight. The other link that I did is not working. So hopefully you'll come to this link instead. I think people will figure out the other link is not working and they will hop on over here, which is what I think people will do. Hey, Rob, good to see you. The Michigan State game. Okay, so we'll start with that game first. By the way, I'm glad Northwestern is winning. That is our free play. So for the Michigan State game, that game goes first thing tomorrow morning against USC, the 10 seed versus the 7 seed. The question is, question is, can Michigan State win as the favorite? Michigan State lost in the first round of the Big Ten tournament against Ohio State, so that's a bad loss for them. Is a team that when they lost in the second round last year against Duke, and and then before that they had lost the first round against UCLA. Before that was the COVID year, 2020, and then they lost in the fifth round against Texas Tech. As far as USC is concerned, this is a team that lost Arizona State in the first round as well. That they lost in the first round against Miami, Florida, which Miami, of course, went far that year. And then they lost in the fourth round. So, as it relates to this game, what is a 137.5 total for both these teams? That's about right for both these teams. You have you have a top 50 defense against a top 50 offense. Yeah, it's a tough game. But I got to tell you, the fact that Michigan State only lost Alabama by 11 says a lot. The fact that this team had beaten Ohio State team that was playing well and Nebraska team that was playing well says a lot. Ohio State really, really needed to win that game. They played really well in the conference tournament, beating Iowa and Wisconsin. As far as USC, I don't think USC was as challenged outside of Arizona and others. So I actually like Michigan State here to do well. I'm very high on the Big Ten this year. I mean, look how well Northwestern is doing right now. So, as it relates to Michigan State, I think that's the right lean. Let me move over to here. Yeah, I don't have an exact total on. Hold on one second. Let me see here. Yeah, I like Michigan State minus the 2. I do. I like Michigan State minus the 2 because I got them by about 5 points or more. So lean number 1, Michigan State versus Michigan State. Versus USC. Lean on Michigan State. I think Michigan State being from the Big Ten makes a big difference. I think USC wasn't really challenged. Pack. Michigan State had to face an upstart USC. I'm sorry, had to face an upstart Ohio State and Nebraska team. And like State to do well. Michigan State also is top 5 in the nation in 3-point field goals, and they come off scoring 58 points as well. So Michigan State is top 5 in 3-point shooting and come off only scoring 58 points in their last game. I think that makes a difference here. That's game number 1. Of course, I'll write the notes here for you so you can review as you need. Rob, how's it? Good to see you. Game number 2, Providence and Kentucky for Colby. So 11, 21, 11 team. Heat for the recent loss to Vanderbilt. So that's going to certainly move them. Providence rolls in their last Seton Hall. They got routed by Seton Hall to Xavier. Ed Cooley's team lost to Kansas by 5 last year. What did Kentucky do? By the way, we're going to do 7 games, by the way, okay? Kentucky lost to St. Peter the first round. But you can't blame them because it was St. Peter. They lost to Mississippi State in the conference tournament before that. It's a COVID year before that. And they lost to Auburn in overtime when Auburn went pretty far 4 years prior to that. So the Kentucky game, look, man, Kentucky cannot lose this game. And they need to win. And they need to win by a wide margin because a lot of people are mad at them, especially after losing to Vanderbilt in back-to-back games. But this is a team that beat Tennessee. This is a team that lost to UCLA by 10. Can Providence get destroyed? That's the question. And Providence did lose to Xavier. They lost to Seton Hall. They lost to Connecticut badly. I actually like – this could be my play tomorrow. I actually like Kentucky a decent amount here. So lean on Kentucky. I think Coach Cal took a lot of heat in his last game. We're now losing to Vanderbilt in back-to-back games. Losing to them in back-to-back games. Has to win here, especially after losing in the first round last year. A lot of motivation here for Kentucky. Providence lost 3 straight coming in. They are outside the top 100 in defense. And they have gotten routed at times. Lean on Kentucky. All right. Moving on. Game number 3, Gonzaga game. So Grand Canyon and the Gonzaga hook up here. It's interesting because the total is at 155.5. The first thing I thought was I like this game to go over. I'm a fan of Grand Canyon. Not a lot of people know about Grand Canyon, but they're not a bad team. Dan Marley first started this team originally, and he built a really good program. So credit to him. And now this team is coached by Bryce Drew. Bryce Drew took over a team that was 13-17. Of course, he was the coach at Vanderbilt at one point. Got him to 23-8, and now they're 24-11. And they lost to Wichita State by 10. They beat Sam Houston State by 3. Still have a pretty young team at their disposal. Not a very good defense at all. Gonzaga could easily drop a ton of points on this team. When a team is this bad on defense, Gonzaga can easily drop. The last time they faced someone this bad on defense, probably Northern Illinois, and they dropped 88 on them. But Grand Canyon scored. They're top 60 team. Let me see something here. Yeah, I like the over. I mean, what do you do with Grand Canyon? I can tell you that, it's a team that really doesn't have. I mean, they beat Northern Iowa, but losing to Wichita State by 12 isn't good. Losing to Nevada by 13 isn't good. Certainly, they can be an active dog. So I like the over here. I think Gonzaga can rack up a lot of points on them. Gonzaga last year in the tournament, if you remember, they were the 1 seed and lost to Arkansas. Them not being a 1 seed this year, I think really works well for them. But yeah, I like the over here. I think that makes sense. Game number 3, Grand Canyon and Gonzaga lead over. Grand Canyon is a top 50 offense, but outside the top 200 in defense. Gonzaga can put up easily 88 points on a team like that. We have this game around 160 plus, therefore, like the over. All right. Moving on to game number 4. Hey, Travis, good to see you, buddy. VCU versus St. Mary's. For game number 4, so for game number 4 here, St. Mary's game. This game goes off at 2 o'clock, and St. Mary's is a 4.5 point chalk against VCU. Let's see here. The first thought I thought was VCU, was St. Mary's. I'm not very high on VCU this year. VCU is a top 6 team. They're top 1, outside the top 130 in offense. They're an excellent defensive team, which is good. They have won their last 9 in a row coming in. But against, they lost to Arizona State by 4, they lost to Memphis 15, they lost to Temple by 10. St. Mary's is a team that beat North Texas, Oral Roberts, San Diego, which is a huge win for them. I love the fact that they lost to Gonzaga badly in the conference tournament, and I think they're going to really remember that ugly, ugly loss, and I think they're going to be okay here today. Keep in mind that St. Mary's lost in the second round last year. Yeah, VCU, they didn't. Yeah, so I like Mary's here. I think they come off such a bad loss, and I think with VCU on their winning streak, they're going to get sort of shocked because St. Mary's is going to lock down. It's a team that beat Gonzaga at the end of the day. Lean on St. Mary's, good public fade. Team only put up 51 points in their last game. I love the fact that VCU rolls in having won 7 in a row, but they are outside the top 100 in offense, and I think St. Mary's takes the cake here. Moving on, game number 5. I also appreciate your thoughts for the Final Four, Elite 8. Appreciate it. So my Final Four thoughts. Look, I like Alabama. You can tell I'm Alabama homer. I think the fact that with Miller and the situation with the investigation and stuff, I think that will bring this team closer together, and I think that is a good thing, and I think that'll make Alabama really sharp just through anger, just simply because of that. As far as any other team, I knew Virginia was going to get upset today. Virginia is just not good. I think Creighton is super dangerous. I think that Purdue's been pretty decent. I think Memphis is quite dangerous. I think Duke is really dangerous. If I had to pick a team that comes out of there, I wouldn't be shocked if Duke does well. Duke's playing as well as anybody else right now, so I don't know why people aren't as high on Duke. I would say maybe Alabama. I'd say maybe Duke. I don't think Houston's coming out of that draw. Of course, it depends on the injury to Sasser, right? I think Texas A&M is a serious dark horse. I think Texas is playing exceptionally well. I think I'd probably pick Texas out of that group. Though I think Texas A&M is a very dangerous, very, very, very dangerous team. And on the bottom draw, I don't think Kansas is going to make it. I think UConn is playing, they can pretty much beat anybody, but they got to be playing well. I think Gonzaga is interesting. I think UCLA is interesting. I'd probably go with UCLA. So I'd probably say Alabama, UCLA, Duke, and Texas as my final four. All right. Game number 5. Also, yeah. Hey, Just, good to see you. Just Rack, UCSB, Baylor. Public is on UCSB. Public fade. Baylor off back-to-back losses. Possible overplay. UCSB active dogs. Gaucho's 4-0. Okay. So for that game, so that'll be the next game that we do. 27-7 team versus a 22-10 team. These two teams have not met. As it relates to UC Santa Barbara, lost to Northern Arizona, lost to Duquesne, outside the top 160 in defense. And then you get Baylor here, who rolls in, and Baylor lost in the second round of the NCAA tournament last year, North Carolina as the 1 seed. So they certainly want to prove themselves. They lost to Iowa State in back-to-back games, a team that beat Texas by 9 early this year, a team that beat West Virginia, beat TCU, all teams that were pretty high on. That beat Kansas, beat Gonzaga by 1, beat UCLA. Yeah, I like Baylor. You just track. I think that's really good analysis. UCSB versus Baylor. Lean on Baylor. Back-to-back losses to Iowa State. Lost in the second round last year. I don't think that UCSB is that good outside the top 100 in defense. Baylor ticked off, beat West Virginia, Texas, Kansas, Gonzaga, UCLA. What else do you want this team to do? Decent public fade. Baylor. Nice spot, Just Track. We should have you apply for a job. Contact Doc Sports if you're interested. Yeah. Hi, IC. What about Pittsburgh versus, hey, Mark, good to see you. Pittsburgh versus Iowa. 2 more games, okay? So we're going to do, the last game is last game is ASU versus TCU, okay? Those will be the 7 games. I don't do more than 7 games because people sort of conk out, and quality and being sharper is better than quantity, in my opinion. So Pittsburgh, yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh is on a magical run, doesn't it feel like it? I mean, this is a team that should have been kind of out, and then they found back in. People are riding them, and Iowa State, of course, comes off back-to-back. Iowa State is very, very fickle team. You never know what you're going to get. Pittsburgh's coached pretty hard. It's a team that lost to Duke by 30 in their last game, essentially. Beat Georgia Tech, beat Mississippi State in a game, lost to Miami of Florida, lost Notre Dame. It's an ugly loss. Lost to Florida State. Lost to West Virginia 81-56. That's bad too. Iowa State, Baylor, then they turn around and lose to Kansas. They lost to West Virginia. They lost to Oklahoma. They lost to Texas. They lost to Kansas State. But had some big wins earlier this year. This loss, I mean, Iowa State was down 25-33. Lackluster game, and I almost want to just take, But, at the end of the day, I just don't believe in Pittsburgh that much. I don't think, if you're talking about a team that's battle tested, Pittsburgh's outside the top 120 in defense. Iowa State's a top 10 defensive team, and you beat a Baylor team that was kind of coming in. So, this team's still pretty, still got 4 seniors. What did Iowa State do last year? They were lost in the 3rd round last year. Yeah, I mean, I'll take a lean on Iowa State. Not a huge lean, but lean on Iowa State. I think the fact this team beat Baylor late says something. Not a bad public fade. I think Pitt and their defense outside of the top 100 will affect them. They face a harder defense here than Mississippi State. I think Iowa State will suck the life out of them. Like Iowa State here. Moving on, the last game. Hey, new level end. Good to see you. Last game here is going to be ASU versus TCU. Public fade. Public likes a dog. Never a good sign. I know you are big on TCU. I know seeing a line set at 5.5 can be a red flag. Is this an active dog overplay? So, I'm high on TCU, and I think the best thing to do is not fickle with the total and just roll with the side. And I think TCU is a good team. I think that these two teams met a long time ago. Not that matters now. Arizona State. I think TCU can beat anybody. I really do once they get healthy. They lost to Arizona, beat USC, who can be blah. They did beat Nevada, but Nevada was sort of blah, and I think people are high on them after that Nevada win. But people sort of forget that Nevada is not that great. They lost to Wyoming, they lost to UNLV, they lost to San Jose State, and still found themselves in the conference in the dance. And then you have TCU, who lost to Texas by 6, beat Kansas. They had just beaten Texas, and Texas had revenge against them. So you can't blame them really. And they had a bunch of injuries. So I think I like TCU, frankly, and so lean on TCU. I think Arizona State's win over Nevada is grossly overrated. Nevada lost to San Jose State and Wyoming. TCU is getting healthy. Lost to Texas recently, only because Texas had revenge. And you saw that game was close. Even with revenge, Texas only beat them by 6 points, and Texas annihilated Kansas in the conference championship. Therefore, like TCU. That, my friends, is it for today. Your live show. Let me see what some of the other questions were. Xavier UConn, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Bati, Michael, talk me off Miami. My eyes tell me they are better than Drake. Let's see. Miami is, but I never deal with. I don't line at all. I stay away in the game. I see. Hey, FU Money, good to see you. By the way, YouTube Premium is so awesome, my friend. Thank you, Uati. I appreciate it. I've been following a long time. Big fan. Thank you, Just Track. Appreciate it. Rob, Arizona State, TCU. Definitely TCU. Put the analysis there for you. Why is a 5.5 point indicative of an underdog and not 6 and 5? Because it's the mental aspect of the game. When you give someone 6 points, they're like, oh wow, that's a lot of points. I'll take the 6 points. But something about the 5.5 line, especially in football, people are like, well, it's only 5.5, and it's indicative of a dog doing well. Same thing. I've always believed the 3.5 line. People are like, oh, look, 3.5. I get the hook. I get the field goal and a half. They're giving me a free field goal. No, I always take the team that is laying the 3.5 points because I think they're giving you the hook for a reason. And I think it's a trap. Just my thought. Miami Drake staying away from that game. Liam, why is the 12 seed and the 5 seed and then only 1.5 favorite? Don't really like it. Definitely need a quick Drake talk. Yeah, we just talked about that. Over on Gonzaga. Don't really like the VCU. I think I gave over on Gonzaga. Pittsburgh, Iowa, Arizona State, TCU. That was the live show. Hope you guys are doing great. And I will see you guys back here very soon. We'll do another live as well. Take care.